Hi guys, my name is Ekimosis, and today we're going to go over the in-depth guide for the Warlock. First, we're going to go over the pros and the cons. Obviously, these are my pros and cons, um, and they're going to be different for everybody. So let's get into it. Pros. Some of the pros I feel for the Warlock are going to be they are I feel a pretty good sustain damage dealing class. They utilize dots. They have a few abilities that will let you explode those dots. I wouldn't really necessarily consider that um, burst, but so yeah, there's the first one there. I would say I could consider a high sustain dot dealing, damage dealing class. Um, Another pro is they're wanted a lot in raids and in parties in general for their one of their abilities known as the volatile curse. And it's a very high-end burst ability, but obviously you have to be able to break the shield for it to do the damage. So that can kind of be considered both a pro and a con if your group makeup isn't good. Um, Now I'll get into my cons. I obviously only do a few because, you can talk about pros and cons forever. But some of the cons I feel are they are very squishy. You can't really take too many hits. Obviously, you can change that if you spec into certain symbols and get certain abilities. But yeah, they are very squishy. So that would be one of the cons I would consider. Also, another con I feel is the dash is awesome. You get a long distance on your dash. You can see right here, but you have to spec for it. So you spec for that ability to be to give you the distance on your dash. It's the longest dash in the game. But I'm gonna say that that's a pro and a con. A con mainly because when you're in an instance or you're trying to um, avoid things, it's good. But when you are saying, "Hey, I need to get over to that pillar," and you overshoot it, and then you die because you overshot that where you were trying to go because you're not really aware of how far you're supposed to go. Um, that can be a thing that one you can fix with lots of training and practice, and two, um, just being aware of okay, I can kind of gauge how many blocks I go, and practicing this is going to go that far no matter what I do. But yeah, that would be my con. Those would be my cons. So squishiness and the length of the dash can kind of be a nuisance if you're not used to it. Now we're going to get into the skills and abilities. All right, so as you can see here, you have your stances, your basic stance, your curse stance, and your extermination stance is your secondary stance. Warlocks are primarily stance based, not as much as a monk, but you will rotate the stances, and if you mess up, you won't be able to do specific abilities in your extermination stance. So keep that in mind. We'll go over the curse stance first. Your first ability you're going to notice, your left click, is your taint. It's got charge. Most people will only charge the ability in the beginning of combat. I don't recommend charging anytime after that, and that's because your damage might be reduced if you're really concerned about dealing damage. The most amount of damage you can deal. Charge it for the beginning of the fight, and then you'll tap it 3 times preceding that. Now you have your epidemic. This will spread the taint ability to monsters around that ally that has the initial taint. So you'll want to put 3 stacks of taint, and then you'll want to spread it if there's multiple monsters. And we'll take a look at that real fast. So we have all these monsters right here. We're going to hold taint down to charge it. You're going to throw it. You're going to see the stacks of 3, and then you're going to right click to spread it. Sometimes you'll see that it bugs out like that, and I'll explain why it does that, or why I think it does that. And We'll let these reset. That's probably one of the most annoying things I feel you'll have or experience with this class is if you try and spread the taint too early. That sounds funny. If you try and spread the dot too early, it will not spread correctly. So here we go. Usually I'll try and spread when it ticks once. So you'll see one tick and then spread. And then it goes to all of them. Or it's supposed to, rather. Sometimes it bugs out. It's quite annoying, but you know, the game is in beta, so. But like I said, they're really squishy. You see I almost died there. But that's how that's supposed to work. You'll spread it and it'll be on all the monsters. Next ability we have is your transform. This ability lets you change stances. So when you spread the taint or you spread the dot, you're going to want to switch to your second stance, which kind of looks like that. It's a pretty fast motion, and you change the way you actually hold the broom, is what they call it. Next ability we have, that I have, is Murder of Crows. This ability you'll unlock through the Atlas. It's a high damage dealing dot AoE, cost an extremely large amount of magic. I only use this in my AoE rotation. I do not recommend trying to put this in an actual rotation other than AoEs or when you're trying to burst down a boss. And you're in like a, you get a lot of buffs, like when you're in a raid and you do your initial buffs on the first portion of the boss, you'll burn your biggest damage dealing abilities just to get that big burst of damage. That's when I would recommend using this. Then we have Aging. This ability puts a slow on the monsters. You can spec it to last longer. I don't have it spec'd to last longer with the talent, but some people do. If you're solo PvEing, I mean, it might be a good idea. I just don't do that. Also, it spreads with Epidemic. So if you cast this ability first and you spread it, it'll go to all the monsters around it. And we'll take a look at that real fast. We'll take a look at Murder of Crows and Aging. So we're gonna. This is just habit for me. I'm going to charge the dot, throw it, put Aging on, put Murder of Crows on, and then, well, he died, so that's horrible. We'll do that one more time. I'm bad at this. I really hate this area for testing. I really wish they had a static target dummy, but the game doesn't, so this is what we have to work with. We'll do it on this monster over here. Let me get my HP back. Alright, so here we go. We're going to do it again. Charge up the dot, throw the dot out, hit Aging, Murder of Crows, and then Epidemic to spread. And you see the Murder of Crows got a lot bigger, the radius got bigger, and it spread Aging on the monster. And he's going really slow. Now he's going normal speed, and we'll kill him now. Switch and Explosion. So that's those two abilities, Aging and Murder of Crows. Really good for AoE packs, and that's how I usually do that. Next abilities we're going to get into are the Dark Ritual. This ability you're going to use if you need to get your mana back. I use it in my rotation, especially when you're doing fights that last longer than 2 to 5 minutes. Just depends. This is your go-to. I need mana. If you can't get the execution off on the monster to regenerate your mana, this is the ability you're going to be using, Dark Ritual. We'll take a look at that too. This is what it looks like. You put the broom in the air and you spin it and you get your mana back. That's what that ability looks like. Next ability we have is Bewitched. You can also talent this ability to make it last longer on monsters, but this ability charms the monsters, and it makes them walk towards you. It's a really good CC ability. Costs 150 magic, and it's got a 45-second cooldown. And we'll take a look at that real fast as well. So this is what this ability looks like, and it looks like this. So it creates a landing strip, and they all walk towards you. You can see the hearts on them. We're gonna kill these things real fast, or I'm gonna die real fast. There we go, it's dead. Alright. Next ability we have is Envoy of Taint. I prefer this ability over Black Panthers for PvE because it's a good filler when you're getting mana from Dark Ritual. And Black Panthers is, I would consider, more solo / PvP oriented. It throws out cats, and you can talent it to stun those cats stun the player or a monster for 1.5 seconds. So if you're into PvP and you want some control, I would definitely suggest getting Sharp Claws with Black Panthers. I have also seen people slot this for PvE. I just don't do it because I don't think it's efficient or effective in terms of dealing sustained damage. The next ability we have is Evil Eye. This decreases the damage inflicted by targets by 33% for 10 seconds. And it can be spread with Epidemic if you slot it. So it's this ability right here. Devilry. Actually, no, I lied. That's not the ability. Where is it at? Right here. False Rumors. This ability will let you spread the damage reduction to all the monsters. So you put all these three abilities on this first target, and then you spread it with Epidemic. Alright, next ability is the Volatile Curse. This is the ability that puts a shield on the monster, and once broken, it explodes for a lot of damage. The only drawback is it can only be put on, well, it can be put on any monster really, but you don't want to do it if you're by yourself because the chances of you breaking the shield are very limited. It definitely, it says that you need a party to help you break it. I use this ability because when I raid, this is almost required. But then again, that just depends on who you're playing with and what your guild or party members want you to do. And yourself as well. If you don't want to run this ability because you want to have black cats for the stun, by all means go for it. This is just the ability that I do. It's a 2-minute cooldown. It's really good for burst. Definitely recommend it if you plan on raiding. If you don't plan on raiding and you want more CC, if you're more of a solo player, then you're going to want to go with the black cats. It puts a trail on the ground, and anything that runs through it's going to get stunned. So, your next ability is your Racket of Crows. This is your ultimate ability. And it applies the 3 stacks of taints, so you can pretty much do this, switch to your second stance, and then start exploding things simultaneously. So we'll take a look at Evil Eye, Volatile Curse, and Racket of Crows, as well as Envoy of Taint. We'll take a look at those abilities now. So here we go. First we're going to do Evil Eye, which is my C ability. Then we're going to do Volatile Curse, which is my V ability. Then we're going to do Envoy of Taints, which is my Q ability. And then we're going to do my ultimate, which is Racket of Crows, which is my R ability. Here we go. C, Q, V, R. And we'll do the crows, and then we'll spread just because I want to. There we go. So I didn't explode the curse because obviously it takes a lot of damage, and you see that it puts a shield on the monster. But those are those abilities, so you can kind of get a look at them and see what they do. Yeah. Next abilities we're going to talk about are the abilities that I haven't talked about, which is my Ring of Fire and Witch Fire. So Ring of Fire is an AoE. It costs 200 mana. It puts a circle on the ground. This is how big that circle is. You get an idea. You can move it. It's a movable AoE. You put it wherever your mouse is. And this is what it looks like right here. It's a really cool looking ability. It does a lot of damage. Just remember, it costs a lot of magic. So there that is. Next ability we're going to talk about is Witchfire. This is more of I would consider a PvP burst ability. You can slot it to knock back enemies. It's really good in combination with black cats. You'll put black cats on the ground. You'll dash behind them or in front of them, and then you'll push them through the black cats, which stuns them. So it's really good in combination with that ability. The next ability we're going to talk about is Transformation. This turns the enemy player or enemy monster into a chicken. It also puts a shield on them, and if the shield gets broken, they turn back into a normal player. So this is kind of, if you don't want a monster attacking, then you CC them. I wouldn't say this is good in group play because people will break that shield in half a second, so it's pointless. Next, we're going to talk about the Extermination stance. So you can see here that at the bottom, the skills actually change. My left, right click, my 2, 3, and 4 abilities are all changing. So we'll talk about the left click. Killer Crows. This ability does more damage if there's more stacks of taint on the monster. Note that if you do left click, you'll see here that I have my 1 impulse charge, which is that lightning bolt right above the dash meter. So you'll see the ×3, and then you'll see the ×1. This ability right here will burn that impulse charge. So I do not recommend you do a left click before you do your Explosion of Darkness or your Extermination, because you want to use that impulse charge for the bonus damage that you get from using Explosion of Darkness or Extermination. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So we're going to target this monster again. We'll switch to stance 1. We're going to charge up and pay attention to my impulse charges. Switch, spread, didn't spread effectively. Left click, see how it burns it? It only did 3,342 damage. That's not what we want. We don't want that. I'll show you how you're effectively supposed to use it. And let me just kill these monsters here real fast. Right, so we'll do that again the proper way. Let me get all my HP back. Alright, so here's the proper way to do that. First, you want to hold your left click down or your dot. Then you're going to throw it out, spread, switch stances, and then right click. See how I did 55,000? And it had the little lightning bolt next to it. That's what you want to be using your impulse charge for. You don't want to be using your impulse charge for I don't want to die here. Right. You don't want to be using the impulse charge for that left click Killer Crows. It's a waste of bonus damage, and I would not recommend it. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you guys how to play. You're going to want to experience that for yourself. That's just what I've learned, because it doesn't state that it does activate the impulse charge. So I don't know if that's a bug or if that's just a mistype. But this ability, you can see it clearly states that it activates your impulse charge as well as your Extermination. We also have Witchfire that activates impulse charge, but I don't use that, so there's that. Next ability we're going to talk about is the Explosion of Darkness. This is the ability that you're going to be using for single target explosions. This does single target damage. It does not AoE. And that's the one that you just saw that did 55,000 damage. We'll take a look at it again. Charge the taint, throw it, switch stance, and left click. mean right click, sorry, that's a right click. 45,000 damage. That's Explosion of Darkness. You're also still going to want to spread. Switch, and then Extermination is the AoE. It does AoE damage. So there's that. Like I said, so Explosion of Darkness is single target, takes 100 mana, does quite a bit of damage. It will remove your stacks of Taint. So just realize that if you're using Explosion of Darkness, you're no longer going to have your stacks of Taint. You need to reapply your stacks of Taint. I mean, it will automatically switch your stances anyways, so you're going to know, okay, I did my Explosion of Darkness. They're telling you reapply your stacks of Taint. Next is your 1, which we already talked about. This is going to change your stance. After that is Extermination. This is going to be your AoE explosion. So you have a single target explosion and an AoE explosion. We'll take a look at that here real fast too. So charging up the Taint for 3 stacks, throwing it out, 1 tick, spread, switch, and number 2, Explosion of Darkness. It didn't do much because the Taint didn't spread to these little guys. We're gonna do it to them right now. Switch, come on. There we go. This is why I really hate testing in this area. It's not fun at all. I'm gonna die. Alright. So there's that ability. Next ability we're going to talk about is the Living Helper. You're going to hear a lot of controversy about this ability. A lot of people are going to tell you that this ability is crap. You're going to read on the forums that this ability is crap. I can tell you right now that this ability is not crap. I've done lots of testing, number crunching, we did theory crafting. This is actually going to be your best single target filler ability. If you guys care about wanting to do the most amount of damage, this is going to be an ability that is going to be in your rotation. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, by all means, go do your own testing, get your own numbers. But that's just how it is. A lot of people are going to tell you, it's not, but I will beg to differ. And we'll take a look at what this ability looks like. So over here, I'm actually going to put the dots on these ones right here. Tick, spread. See, and they don't want to spread because these mobs are a little bugged out, but it's fine. We'll just kill them singly. Kill that. All right, so here we go. We're going to throw the Taint out because you have to have Taint on the monster in order to do the broom. And there's the broom ability. You can see it's ticking for lots of damage. And that's how that works. There's the broom ability. And we'll go over rotations towards the end of the video, and I'll put a link to that so you guys can see that if you want to jump around. But there's Living Helper. We already looked at Ring of Fire, big AoE ability. We already looked at Bewitched, Envoy of Taints, Evil Eye, Volatile Curse, Racket of Crows, and then your Proven Remedy. This is your execution ability. This is that ability that turns him into a frog. It looks pretty cool. Now we're going to talk about the talents, guys. So talents, we have Dark Lot. Transformation lasts 4 seconds longer, so if you're using transformation, this is probably an ability you're going to want to use. I could see this being okay in PvP, maybe PvE if you're solo, but you guys can do the testing and figure that out for yourself. Witch Circle. This is the talent that I use. Murder of Crows and Ring of Fire inflict 20% more damage. I use Murder of Crows and I use Ring of Fire, so it makes sense. If I want to do more damage, this is what I'm going to go with. Next ability, Dark Pact. Proven Remedy reduces the cooldown of Aging, Evil Eye, Bewitched, Transformation, and Murder of Crows by 50%. I would say this is a really good talent if you're soloing. Or you're doing adventures by yourself and you can actually get the execution off, and you're not having to worry about other people doing it. I wouldn't recommend getting this ability or this talent because there's so many good talents in the Witch's tree for PvE that this is just going to take up one of those slots. Next talent we have is Dark Times. Evil Eye increases the duration of control effects used against the target by 40%. So if you want more control, Evil Eye is going to be increased by 40%. So about 3 to 4 seconds. So it's okay. I wouldn't recommend using it, but by all means, you guys can test that out as well. Family Broom, I use this ability because I use Living Helper in my rotation, and it's going to increase its damage, so why not use it? It also increases the damage of your Envoy of Taint, and it increases that damage by 12%. And it says it increases damage for the fire of Bewitched Fire by 10%, but we're going to assume that that is Ring of Fire and Witch Fire. So that's what we're going to assume. Then we have Enclosing Darkness. Your Bewitched Fire knocks enemies away. Definitely would recommend this if you're using Witch Fire and you're trying to do like a PvP build in combination with your Black Cats, like I said earlier. Art of Killing. Killer Crows no longer consumes magic. That's a definite talent, I would say. Like, you should probably slot this talent, because you'll be left clicking in your rotation, 3 to 4 times before you're able to do Living Helper again. Master Transformation. Transformation cooldown is reduced by 50%. The shield that ends transformation prematurely will destroy. When destroyed, becomes 3 times sturdier. Once transformation ends, all the effects of the taint from the Warlock are removed. Bewitched lasts 2 times longer. Again, if you're going to be soloing, definitely you want to live longer, so it charms them for 2 times the length. Aging lasts 50% longer. We already talked about this ability. It spreads with Epidemic, and it slows. Sharp Claws. Stuns from Black Cat last 1.5 seconds longer. It's another ability. If you're trying to go for PvP, like I said earlier, you definitely want to get that ability, or that talent. Evil Eye spreads an Epidemic. I usually talent this, but I don't have it talented right now. But you can swap out a couple of these for this talent. Sudden Death. Definitely gonna want to get this ability. It increases your Explosion of Darkness, makes it do more damage, and especially if the mom's health is lower than 50%. Devilry. I honestly wish that this ability did make you do more damage to your volatile curse, but it doesn't, and that would kind of be overpowered in a sense. So it makes it do more damage to other shields, targets other shields. This would be really good in PvP against like paladins and people that use a lot of shielding, and you're trying to break the shield faster. Then you have Plague Wind. Epidemic spreads the taint for the full duration. Definitely going to want to use this ability. Very good ability, because the more time that is on your taint or your dot, it's going to increase the damage of your Extermination. So the higher stacks, the higher duration, the more damage. That only makes sense to use that ability. This is what witches are known for. Witches are warlocks. Flying on a broom. This is the ability that increases your dash length, and it reduces damage by 80%. And you have Terrifying Swarm. Warlock spread taint with Epidemic. It causes them to become scared. It's like a fear for 2.5 seconds. I would recommend this for PvP, maybe. You definitely don't want to use this in PvE or raiding, because you want to keep all the monsters as close as possible. I would definitely stay away from this. If you're soloing, then definitely pick up this ability, because it's going to make you live longer and you need survivability. Ninth Life. This is a must, at least for me. It's like an extra life you get. If your health drops below 25%, you become invulnerable for 10 seconds, and it's got a 4-minute internal cooldown, which is kind of sucks. But if you're about to die, you'll be immune to damage for 10 seconds. Living Helper. This is also another ability I would consider a PvP if you can get the full time of Living Helper off. It stuns, so that's pretty good. Then you have Bird Apocalypse. All damage from your taint or your dot does more, and Explosion of Darkness does more. So that's a guaranteed. You're going to want that if you want to increase your damage. Alright guys, so that's all the abilities, that's all the talents. We went over the stances. Next we're going to go over our order and our provinces, just so you guys can get a look at that and see what I recommend for your order and provinces for the Warlock. So for your first one, you're going to want to go with the accuracy. That's what I go with. You also have temper here if you're going to be going a Valor build, but I would recommend getting the accuracy for your first one. Second one, we're going to go with accuracy. Third one, we're going to go with crushing blows. Fourth one, this is where I get my temper from. You want to get temper to 11.8%. Fifth one, we want the accuracy. Sixth one, we want, I'm going to be switching probably to solidity. But defense penetration is good as well. It seems to be broken in PvP, so you can test that out if you want to, but I'm going to go with solidity or the crit. That option really is up to you. The next one is crushing blows. There's no question about it. And the last one, I went with solidity. Adaptation is good if you want to live longer. Increase incoming damage is temporarily reduced if you take consecutive hits. So definitely a good one if you want to survive. Solidity if you want to do more damage. Regeneration if you want to restore parts of your health loss in combat. This can also be good. I mean, these last options are these ones with solidity on them. This is going to be generally left up to your decision. So that's your preference. Alright, next we're going to talk about rings, amulets, and weapons. We go to our equipment. Alright, so for my rings, this is not the build I want to do. I'm actually going to be changing my spec, and I'll show you the rings that I'm going to be hunting for. I would not recommend going for strength luck as a warlock. I would recommend going for strength valor, which is these rings right here. This is the perfect ring that you're going to want to try and find. Strength, valor, accuracy, temper. You want to get 4 of these for the most amount of damage out of your warlock. I was strength luck for my necromancer, and I haven't had luck getting my strength valor rings. You're also going to want to pay attention to your stats over here. You want to get your accuracy up to, above 50% if you can. You want to get your temper to about 40 or 50. Crushing blows, and those are the stats you're going to want to get. But I have strength luck crit rings with some accuracy, so not the perfect build for me. I'm going to suggest strength valor. I've done a lot of testing, and strength valor is going to be the most damage dealing for PvE. You're going to get the most damage out of strength valor. Crit just doesn't, it's not guaranteed damage. Valor is guaranteed damage. You guys can do the testing if you want, but that's what I'm going to recommend. Strength valor with the temper and accuracy. And now we're going to talk about our amulets. Amulets, they're definitely subjective. This is going to be left up to what abilities you feel like you're using more. I'm looking for amulets like this. This is my perfect setup. I'm going for more single target because that's what raid bosses right now are. They're mostly single target. So I'm going to be going for Explosion of Darkness and Living Helper because this is my single target. These are my 2 single target rotations. You'll see a lot of people doing Murder of Crows and Extermination. But like I said, it's up to you guys. We're going to talk about the weapons. Weapons, you're going to want to get either a Taint, inflicts more damage. I'm looking for a Living Helper, inflicts more damage. I'm going to be testing both of those out. Either or work, but I would recommend getting the Taint. There also is an Evil Eye weapon that makes you do more damage if the target's the target is affected by Evil Eye, which I would say is good in PvP. Then we have our Talisman. Dark Ritual reduces incoming damage by 60%. I feel like this is really good in PvP and in PvE because when you're sitting there regenerating mana, you're not able to move. So if you are getting hit, you're going to reduce your damage by over half. Definitely going to guarantee your survivability and your life. So that's what I would go for. Also, one thing I didn't go over in the Necromancer video that I wanted to go over but I forgot is the master skins. I want to show off the master skins for the Warlock. So we have the Diabolist costume. This is what the master skin looks like for the Warlock. At first I didn't really like it, but the more I wore it, the more I became attached to it. Very, very unique. The aesthetics are very nice on this costume. They look great. I like the design. So, I mean, obviously it's going to change for everybody. But there's that. Alright, so now we're going to go over the combat rotations. Now, it's not going to be very efficient in here, but I'll just talk about it. So, this is my rotation. This is what I would recommend you do. And I'll go over why. So, here we go. We're going to hold down our dot. We're going to throw it out. We're going to spread with taint because it's multiple targets. This is an AoE rotation, switch, and 2. So, that's going to be your standard AoE rotation. You're going to throw out your taints. You're going to spread, switch, left click because our impulse charge is down, and then exterminate with 2. I really wish I had another area to test in. I don't like this area at all. It's the worst area to try and explain a rotation for. We'll try that one more time. So here we go. AoE rotation one more time. Holding the left click down. I'm actually going to wait to spread. So we're going to throw it down. We're going to hit Evil Eye. We're going to hit 3, 2, and then we're going to spread with Epidemic. We're going to switch and explode. Boom. Single target rotation, 1, 2, 3. Switch. Living Helper. And he's already dead. So there is the AoE rotation in combination with the single target rotation. And I'll verbalize these better for you guys because it's really hard to show it off in this room without a target dummy. So this is what it is. You're going to taint 3 times. You're going to put taint up 3 times on your target. Then you're going to ask yourself, is this a single target fight or is this a AoE fight? I would consider anything that's 1 or 2 monsters is considered for me a single target rotation. If it's 3 or more, it's an AoE rotation, and that's just how I feel. Obviously, if there's 2 targets, it should be AoE, but I do my single target rotation because generally you want to burn down that 1 target faster or a target faster. And so we'll get back into it. Taint 2 3 times. AoE rotation, you're going to do Evil Eye next, Aging 3rd, Murder of Crows 4th, and then you're going to spread Epidemic. Then you're going to switch stances. Then you can either drop Ring of Fire and Extermination. That is going to be, you're going to have no mana after that. If you do drop Ring of Fire and you explode, you're going to be at like 100 mana, maybe. So if you do Ring of Fire and then you explode, you're going to switch back to Curse Stance, and you're going to be, I would taint 3 times, Envoy of Taint, and then get mana. You're going to do Dark Ritual for mana. Once your Dark Ritual is done, either all the monsters are going to be dead and you're going to have 1 target, or you're going to still have AoE targets. So you're going to say again, is there more than 2 targets, or is there only 1 target? If there's 1 target, right after you do Dark Ritual, you're going to taint for 3 stacks. You're going to switch stances. If your impulse charge is not up, let me say that again. If your impulse charge is not up, you're going to do Killer Crows unless Living Helper is up. So, if your impulse charge is down from your previous rotation, you're going to do Killer Crows. If not, you're going to go straight into Living Helper, and then you're going to Explosion of Darkness for the single target damage. Your second rotation for single target is going to be this. Taint 3 times, switch, Killer Crows. You should have to do it at least 2 or 3 times, because by this time your impulse charge is going to be down. You'll do this 3 times. You'll have about 2 seconds left before your Living Helper goes up again. You'll Living Helper. In the middle of Living Helper, your impulse charge should come back up. You will then Explosion of Darkness. You're going to do that. That's the rotation. You're going to repeat, rinse and repeat. You go back. You're going to Taint 3 times. You're going to switch stances. You're going to Killer Crows 3 times. Living Helper. Explosion of Darkness. That's what it's going to be. So I'll give you a quick look at that, and then we will end the video. So here we go. Taint, AoE rotation. C, 3, 2, spread, switch, Explosion of Darkness. Next rotation. I have 200 mana left. 1, 2, 3, switch, Living Helper. And he already dies. So yeah, he doesn't have enough HP to do the whole entire rotation, but you guys get the idea of that. I went into a thorough rotation for PvE. The rotation that I do is generalized around rating. You guys can mess around with that and figure out what works best with you. I gave you my insight, and hopefully this guide gives you everything you guys need to be a better Warlock. I really enjoyed this class. It was fun to master. My next video I will be going over is the Alchemist. I have the Alchemist maxed. It was my 3rd class maxed. We'll be going over the Alchemist guide after this. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I also stream on Twitch. If you guys want to check that out. I'll see you guys in the next video.